afternoon, whatever you want to call it. Welcome to the Fluff Life. It is your girl Angel, and this is my, what is it going to be called? Oh, the title will be somewhere up there. Anyway, this is a little out there type of video because it's called, do you know if you're, are you being emotionally abused? And a lot of people don't know about these things because they probably never gone through it. I myself have gone through it. While I'm doing this, I'm going to be just trying out some things here while I talk to you about it for a few minutes. Because by the time you've seen this, you would have seen, if you have, you're watching and you've already watched the haul video that I just did on the Miss Shop Miss A items. So that's what you're going to see coming up. And you're going to see me trying some things from there. Anyway. The reason why I brought this subject up is because it is something that I myself have gone through. I was involved with somebody, with some of you, if you've been a long-time subscriber, you've been following me on Instagram, you knew something that was what was happening between me and well, you probably didn't see it because I never brought it up, but it was something that I was dating somebody for a younger person than I was for a few years, and the reason why I was dating him was because I actually did love him and we had a relationship going on. But the one thing that relationship taught me was that I was being and dealing with emotionally being abused by him. He was an alcoholic, he was a drunk, period. That's just what he was. His whole entire family was, actually. I didn't realize how bad it was until I was in the relationship with him. And by that time, in the relationship was just already happening. But the relationship, as more and more as we spent time together, the more and more I started to realize how abusive our relationship was. It was not a physical abuse one where we slapped each other, hit each other. It was nothing like that. So I figured as long as it wasn't that way, it was okay. But the more and more time I spent with him, the more and more time I started to realize his abuse was maybe not physical, but it was an emotional abuse. And I put up with it for 4 years, realizing that I thought it was okay for him to be that way with me, to treat me horrible, to him to verbally attack me for no reason and just treat me horrible. The more and more things like that happen, the more and more you start to realize, or you start to think that it's okay. I mean, at least that's how I figured it. I was just like, okay, I guess this is better than being abused, right? This is better than being hit. So I'll deal with it. And especially because I loved him, I figured things will get better. Well, they don't. They really don't. You start getting blamed for everything that they do wrong. I got blamed for the fact that he couldn't find a job. It was my fault. He didn't work because I spent time with him, because I wanted us to spend time together. It was my fault that he couldn't deal with his life and his stresses. It was my fault. Everything was my fault. And I was just like, I'm so over it. At some point, I think I dealing with it, that it was okay because I loved him and I'm supposed to be supportive. I'm supposed to be by his side. I'm supposed to be, a loving girlfriend and being there for him. Honestly, that was probably the mistake I made, staying with him and not dealing with our relationship as what he was doing to me and how he was treating me. I thought it was okay as long as he wasn't hitting me, even though I was older and I knew what was happening between us, and I was like, okay, this should be all right. I never told anybody how he was treating me. I never told anybody how I felt. I just kept it to myself for the longest time. Actually, throughout the duration of our relationship, I kept it to myself because I was just like, I love him and I want us to grow. I want us to be a better person together as a couple. But as I realized after we broke up, and believe me, it took me a while to get over this whole situation. I mean, it took me months to be over our relationship, because when we broke up, when we went our separate ways, it was due to him. Some of it was due to his lack of being there, his cheating, just being mentally abusive towards me was the part that I just couldn't take anymore. I never did anything to deserve it. And he knew it. And that's the bad thing about it, is that he actually knew I didn't deserve to get treated that way. So that being said, you start to realize that you're like, wow, okay, what am I going to do now? I'm in this relationship with somebody and they're verbally abusing me. They're treating me horrible. They're making me feel horrible about myself. And at some point, you as the person in this relationship, you have to realize that you are not the one who's wrong. You are not the one who's doing anything harmful. You know, you're dealing with somebody who's mentally unstable, number one. Number two, it's just, you want to believe in them, you want to trust in them, and you want everything to go well because you love them. But honestly, the best thing you could ever do for them is to leave them and let them wallow in themselves, because once they realize that you are no longer there to be their punching bag, then all of a sudden you become somebody that they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize what I was doing. I'm sorry. And you know, but you have to realize that you're worthy of a lot more than what they're giving you. I realized that after me and him had broken up, because at the moment I was heartbroken when we broke up. I was upset because I didn't realize what was really happening between me and him. But you as a person, when somebody's attacking you and verbally abusing you and attacking you in ways that you don't deserve, because you're not doing anything but just living and not realizing what's happening between you and him, or you and her, or whatever the situation may be, you don't understand what's happening. You don't really want to think that this person who says they love you and care about you is wanting to do these things to harm you. You don't want to believe that. I mean, I never did. I didn't want to believe that he was this asshole all of a sudden, this person who I loved so much so that I made sure he was a priority. And that being done, that's where I faulted. I made him such a priority. I made him feel so important that he knew that I was just like, okay, well then I guess we'll figure it out. I'll make sure that you're happy. Your happiness meant more than mine did. And now I realize that that's something that you have to realize in yourself, that their happiness is not important. If they cannot see that they are destroying you and hurting you, then they themselves do not deserve you either. I know it's hard to see it sometimes in that moment and in that second, but I'm just telling you right now, woman to woman, man to man, sex to sex, gender to gender, whatever you are or whatever your preferences are, whatever you choose, whoever you choose to be with, if they are verbally, mentally, even physically abusing you, they are not putting your needs before theirs. They are putting their needs before anybody else's. You do not matter. No matter what you say, no matter what you think, no matter what your opinion is, to them, you're always going to be at fault. To them, you are always doing wrong, no matter what you're doing to try to make things right with them. It doesn't matter. Believe me, I went through this. It is the most horrible thing I ever went through in my life. And I went through it twice with two fools. Once I spent 10 years with somebody who obviously put other things before me, not even caring how I felt about situations. When somebody just attacks you for no reason, out of nowhere, for nothing, for absolutely nothing. It could be for the toothpaste off the cap kind of bullshit crap, something petty as just being in the same room with them and breathing too loud. That's when you know this is not the person for you. That this is just a person who's here to just manipulate you, here to just make your life miserable, and not realize who you are or value you whatsoever. We all go through something in our relationship, and there are things that you have to deal with at some times and in some points in your relationship. But when it comes to the point where you are not happy in your relationship, but you stay because you love them, that's when you have to realize that they are no longer important anymore and that you need to walk away from them. As hard as it may seem and as difficult as it may sound to do, it isn't. It'll hurt. It'll hurt. I'm not going to say it doesn't hurt, because it does hurt. It'll make you feel like crap. It'll make you feel like roadkill. It might take days. It might take weeks. It might take months for you to get over it and for you to move on from a situation in which you're in. But believe me when I say, you're better off. Once you were able to be dependent on yourself and in your emotional state, you will start to realize that the other person who was doing these things to you, who was making you feel a certain type of way, you will start to see their demeanor, and they will try to get you back. They always do. They want to come back in your life because they know you were the one person in their life who was there for them. You were the one person in their life who was like, I love you. I want to be with you. Let's work on this. Honestly, it's not going to work. It's never going to work. As long as you are going to be their punching bag, they will not change. They won't. It's something within you. You have to take pride in yourself. You have to be strong for yourself and strong to be able to just say, you know what? I love you, but I love you enough to let you go and let you be you and go do you however you need to figure it out. But we can't figure it out together anymore. As hard as it may be to come to that conclusion, sometimes that's the best conclusion you can come out for you and for that other person. Because maybe what that other person needs is somebody else to put a stop, pause, and just be like, you know what? We need to just go our separate ways before we destroy each other. Well, I felt like this was something I needed to say, something I needed to just discuss with anybody and everybody and see if you guys, how you feel about it. Again, please feel free to leave your comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share if you feel that this video is something that you would like to see more of. And again, I am not a social psychiatrist, social whatever person, whatever. My advice is my advice. My words are just my words. I just hope that they reach somebody and hopefully will help somebody make a change in their life for the better. Again, I am not some social worker. I cannot tell you what to do, and my opinions, again, are just my opinions. I'm not any type of doctor in any sort. So again, please don't leave me any comments down below talking mad crazy because, oh, you know what? My experiences are my experiences. They are what I've gone through and what I've been through. And considering as old as I am, believe me, I've learned a couple of things. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this topic. I hope it's something that helped you. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.